Hey everybody, Pete Covert with Team Cosmos, here to talk through my fights at the recent NHRL June 1st Teams event in Norwalk. My first fight was against RoboCat, a relatively unknown bot. Had been at an NHRL event at least once, maybe one other event. Hadn't done the best, but still looked pretty serious. Real solid weapon, and I didn't really know what to expect. So fingers crossed I was going to do well. I also had to fight Caldera 12 and Psycho in my group, so no easy fights. I was hoping to get a win here. The fight starts. RoboCat's obviously a lot faster than me. Some crazy gyro there, trying to get a hit on him. And here's kind of our first hit. I give him a really nice boot into the wall there. Everything's still working on RoboCat. And then here I really smacked the crap out of him. If you look closely, you can see a belt dangling. So I knew his weapon was down. I was feeling pretty good about that. Thought I had it easy. Meanwhile, the announcers were, of course, talking up how dependable my weapon is and how it just hit after hit, blah, blah, blah. And of course, I smoked my weapon motor. Luckily, I turned off the weapon real quickly, saved my speed controller, but the motor was toast, and now we're looking at 215 of us pushing each other around. And this really made me nervous because Nightcrawler is not a pushy bot, and a lot of weight up front, not a lot of weight on the wheels. RoboCat four-wheel drive had some nice spiky wheels up front. I was like, oh, this is not looking good. But, you know, you got to do what you got to do. And so luckily, RoboCat was upside down, kind of trying to figure out how to right themselves. I'm chasing around trying to get a pin or anything I can do, not having a lot of luck. Able to push him with just those two back wheels on the ground. So that was a good sign. It looked good because, I'm chasing him down and he's kind of running around crazy. And right here, he gets stuck on his head. So luckily, I had to use his unstick, and I realized if I did that again, I'd get the knockout, which was important in this competition because it was all point-based, and in order to go into the full bracket, you needed every point you could get. So if I could get him stuck on his head one more time, I'd get an extra point, versus if it went to a judge's decision and I won, I'd get 1 point less. So I was hoping to get him stuck that way again. Here he is, right side up. A little more challenging, certainly some back and forth. You can hear Jake and the entire Ohio group in the background. Just every time RoboCat seems to have a glimmer of hope, they go crazy. Luckily, Chad New on my team was yelling right back. So every time RoboCat was on the losing end or Nightcrawler had a kind of a bit of an advantage, Chad started yelling back. So there's some good-natured back and forth there. Right there, you could see that I was actually getting a pushing advantage kind of unexpectedly on RoboCat. That was because he was riding up on my little forks up front, lifting those spikes off the ground. And there you see I get a nice pin and was able to kind of push him around if everything lined up right. So doing a little better than I expected. I'm always nervous with Nightcrawler, not a super robust drive. I haven't been in a lot of pushing contests that I've won, but things were looking good here. At some point, I realized that I also could get stuck on my head because without a spinning weapon, there is a point I can balance where I need my weapon to flip myself up. So a little concerned that would happen, but this close to the end, like, almost right there, it almost happened. But I knew I was going to make it. So this went to the judge's decision. I felt good going into it. I knew it wasn't a real obvious win, but I felt I was the strongest there. And so there's Jake talking some smack. But the judges ended up giving it to Nightcrawler, so got 3 points and got to go on to our next fight against Caldera 12. And so watch for the next video on that.